Welcome into Unemployed with Mike Schaefer. I am Mike Schaefer, and that man, if you are watching on this stream, which, there's a handful of you that are, he is raising his glass to you. That would be Jack Mitchell if you're out there in podcast land. It is Feedback Friday, and we are going to probably be talking a lot of Nebraska basketball. Maybe a football thought or two will slip in there. I have a blind rankings that tempts fate a little bit, so that'll be fun. We'll see how Jack handles that. Though he tempted fate when we were discussing the Purdue-Michigan State game last night a little bit. And so, maybe we'll...
I didn't know the dude was a 46% free throw shooter.
Well, he bricked it. He bricked it almost as bad as Braden Smith would brick the three-pointer. That was one of just... If you were to make a compilation of end of game moments, and you have a bunch of these happen all the time. I mean, Creighton had one the day before where the guy got to the rim and just completely biffed a layup. Braden Smith catches a ball with like 3.5 seconds left, totally panics and heaves up like a 32-foot three that had no chance whatsoever. And it's like, oh man, I can't believe the 19-year senior didn't have the ability to handle that moment against Michigan State there. That was wild. At no point was Matt Painter in that timeout like, hey, what we want to do is get the ball to Braden here, and he's going to heave it like he's in a half-court shot competition.
It was so odd because they took the timeout when Smith, after the missed free throw, and the announcers at the time were just praising what a smart timeout it was by Painter, but I thought Smith had kind of some open room there.
Sure.
Before the timeout. He had a much better percentage chance of making something work there than taking a timeout with 3 seconds. I actually didn't like the timeout at that point. I would have taken it earlier.
Well, it feels like this is one of those big things. It gets into the whole, like, do you hit on 16 or not? And you got to pick one way or the other. Some coaches just let them play it out. Some coaches love to take the timeout there to set something up. If it's Nebraska, I prefer Hoiberg to dial stuff up because I think I think he has the ability to beat someone else's coach in those sort of moments. With Tim Miles, if he called a timeout, it was going to be the same thing as if they ran it regular. It was going to be the ISO and someone trying to get a right-handed layup. And, it, to my knowledge, other than Ty Webster, never worked. I think Ty Webster had the only, maybe James Palmer did it one time.
Palmer probably, yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think Nebraska really.
He did get fouled by Kansas. That one would have worked, but he got fouled by Kansas. People forget that. I don't know if I've mentioned that in the last week or two, but that was a foul.
Do you remember they beat Minnesota where James Palmer gets fouled with less than a second left, and it's a tie game, and Richard Pitino just completely and utterly melts down like the little, nepotism baby that he was at that time and very much is. I do not have any like of that guy at all. And he treats everybody like total shit. And that was such a wonderful moment of, his post game and all of it. That was some real Schaefer for me.
That was good. The Minnesota games usually don't have much juice, I would say, if you're kind of looking back at them compared to there aren't a whole lot of super memorable ones, even though there are wins and losses across it, but that probably it's about as high as you can get unless I'm missing some obvious ones.
Well, then you have Brennan Rigsby and his
I forgot about Brennan Rigsby.
So
I had Eleanor Rigby in my head that entire week. I could not stop singing it, but with his name, which is very unpleasant.
So my now wife and I, we went to Nebraska, Minnesota in 2018. That was like our first go travel somewhere for a trip as a couple thing. And we went to Nebraska, Minnesota, because I had a friend that lived up in the cities and we could stay with him. And, it's Minnesota basketball game. Tickets were easy enough to get. And I have sort of a disdain for one, that arena sucks. It sucks as a fan.
I've never been there. It sucks on TV. Yeah, it looks
you leave through a fire escape in the dead of winter, which is just fantastic. And then their fans are just like the full-fledged Minnesota nice, which is really just passive aggressive and like jerk asses. And Nebraska blew a lead in that game and ended up losing the game. And there's this old guy that was just mocking the hell out of me, the last like 4 minutes of that game. Now I always think about him when bad things happen to Minnesota Gopher sports.
It's good to personify, you know, your
that
rage.
face comes to mind. And then, of course, I also see that face when Nebraska football fails to put away Minnesota time and time again up in
the Gophers are going to win. Oh, yeah. Here they go. Another win.
No way he didn't talk like that either. There's just no chance.
Beans that they're coached so well.
Well, Nebraska gets for Big Ten purposes and maybe seeding purposes, maybe site location purposes, gets an important win from Michigan State on Thursday. Another big game on Friday night. Illinois takes on Michigan. It feels weird.
Oh,
it feels
Friday
weird,
night
like,
Big Ten. I'm so excited. I know we talked about this last week. And then Thursday night this week.
Yeah. It's the Thursday one. They haven't done that a lot this year. They haven't had a lot of Big Ten games
and
on
Thursday night sucked now. So
that felt like good. A nice breakout one where you get Michigan State and Purdue. That was fun to watch at the end there. And certainly tonight with Illinois, Michigan. It feels dirty to just unabashedly root for Michigan, but it would feel dirty to root for Illinois. So I don't like either of these teams.
In a weird way, though, I feel like of the group, the Purdue, Illinois, Michigan group, somehow, I don't know how, maybe people disagree with me on this. I feel like Michigan is the least hateable somehow.
Well, I like Dusty May.
Yeah.
Nebraska only played him once. And frankly, my dislike of Michigan is as an entity as a whole.
Exactly.
More than specifically their basketball team.
But with basketball, it is so important to have a coach and or some specific players, more so than football, I think. And I don't know if Michigan has that guy, necessarily.
Yeah, they don't have their Mo Wagner. They don't have, a Hunter Dickinson. They don't have a Spike Albrecht. They don't have a Nick Stauskas unless he's on the call.
Yeah.
There
you go. That's where I point it to.
So, they don't have that necessarily this year, but most years they have someone that's easy enough to root against. But a Michigan win would be good for Nebraska. It gives them a little breathing room in the chase for what Happer and I are calling the super mega bye. And just because we're tired of being wrong when we say double bye, because it's now a triple bye, because this year they have every team in the Big Ten involved in the tournament, which would have been nice a year ago. Would have enjoyed that a little bit, but so it goes.
The NCAA tournament win thing wouldn't be pressure this year because they'd have it under their belt.
Yeah, in a different dimension, that could have been true. In a different dimension. There was a moment last night where I'm watching that Michigan State Purdue game, and I see the guy Ward or whatever brick that free throw, the 46% shooter. And all I'm thinking to myself is how many free throws can Purdue just survive off of the other team missing in the final, closing seconds of a game. And because my head naturally went to that rink mass moment. That one haunts me a little bit still. Like I keep looking at what Nebraska is and what's still to come. And I keep thinking about, man, it'd be really nice had he just made that free throw. You complete that comeback. Purdue's not considered on the level they're on right now. Nebraska's considered on a different level. Who knows? Maybe they end up beating Iowa at that point, and they only have 2 losses with 3 games to go, and they're a fringe 1 seed, and we're having all of those conversations. This is where my head went when that guy bricked that.
I mean, you could say, yeah, I get that. You could probably say that too for the Hoiberg charge block against Michigan too. Yeah, that goes the other way. I mean, those are two moments there that you flip those and you add a major win to Nebraska's resume with either one of them. And you're right. We're probably having a conversation about, could they be safe as a 1 seed? Right? Like that's where you are, which is just insane.
Well, when UConn is currently a 1 seed and they lost to Creighton in a game that they didn't have, they weren't even close in the closing seconds. But man, it presents all the what.
I'm saving my rant because I'll save it for the end, but it is somewhat related to that.
Okay. All right. Well, we will get to that. It's going to be an abbreviated show, so we'll try to hustle through things. I came up with a blind rankings that, like I said, temps fade a little bit, so I'll be curious where you come down on it. I don't know how you're going to go about things with it, but that'll be fun. But where I want to start this, and this could take up the bulk of what we're going to talk about here, though I do want to get into a little of USC with that game coming up on Saturday. Did you see Sam McEwen's tweet yesterday about the if you were going to rewatch one Husker Hoops game from the last 3 to 4 years for sheer enjoyment, what game do you call up? Now, naturally, because I didn't feel beholden to only have one game, I quote tweeted it with my top 5. And I thought about this for a little while, and I feel pretty good about the 5 that I landed on. And so we can go over those. But I wanted to present you the question. It sounds like you saw it. Or it looks
yeah,
like
yeah.
you
You texted it to me. I saw it. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
I haven't seen your. Yeah, you texted it to me, but I didn't see your list, so that's good. I'll be.
Do you have a list, or do you have just one game?
I mean, I thought of one, but I can come up with other. So first of all, let me nail down exactly how many years that we're talking about. Like, what is my exact range?
So I went counting this season back to the last tournament team, so just a couple years ago. So basically, it would be 23, 24, 24, 25, and 25, 26.
Well, then that makes it even easier, I think, in terms of some of because if you go back a few years before that, there's a couple of random ones that I actually would like to watch again. But
okay.
I mean, it's got to be, for me, it's still got to be the Purdue game at Pinnacle Bank Arena, the K-State year. Like, yeah, to me, I don't know if that was number one on yours. That's got to be number one for me. Yeah, also, I wasn't there, so I didn't get to take it in live.
What famous event at the Lead Center were you at?
That was when I got my wife tickets to Les Mis.
Yeah.
So I was famously at Les Mis during that, and getting my phone basically disrupted the show, and I didn't have it on sound on. It buzzed so much. Between my son and my friends and my daughter, my son and daughter were there together. It was, I don't know that I'd seen the musical before, so I knew how it ended. So that was good.
You were certainly Les Miserables, right?
Well, not when I realized that. I mean, no, because it's the weirdest feeling because you went into it. I was kind of bummed. I mean, I was bummed that I wasn't going, but I thought Nebraska wasn't going to win. So I was like, this will be better. It's kind of like what happened this year, right? I like not to spend sadness capital if I don't have to, right? Because I already dole it out everywhere in the sports world. So I can preserve a little bit of it. It's good. And that's kind of what I figured. So I had that assumption going in. And then, it's going well and it's going well and it's going well. And then it gets to the point like, oh my gosh, this might happen. And then it is going to happen during that game. And so I was thrilled, but I was really having a hard time concentrating on much else. And so we drove, we drove home, and then I sat down, and it's about 11:30, and I started watching the game from beginning to end and watched the entire thing. So unlike what happened this time around.
So you gotta live through it. The only comparison I have to this, featuring both the Lead Center and something that is going on, and you're presented with ultimate joy when you realize you're on the other side of the bad part of what could have happened. I was at Jagged Little Pill, which is an Alanis Morissette.
Isn't that ironic?
An Alanis Morissette musical. It was entertaining. It was very good.
I wanted to go to it. I didn't get to. Yeah. I didn't.
It was very. I mean, I like Alanis Morissette quite a bit, and so I love the music from it. And I was confused as to how they were going to turn this into a musical, but they did, and it was a good story. But this was on the same night as the first round of the NFL draft, and Will Levis was falling down the board. And my friends, like, here's the thing about me. My friends know how I feel about the Vikings, and they know how I feel about certain quarterbacks. And I genuinely are not shy about letting people know, the Vikings famously drafted J.J. McCarthy. And I was campaigning against that going back to the day that he won the national title against Washington. And so I did not want Will Levis. I didn't want Will Levis in any shape or form. I didn't want Will Levis at that pick or any pick. And this is happening, and my phone is just blowing up because my friends are like, hey, Levis is still on the board. The Vikings are coming up in 5. You think they're going to trade up for him? And this is just going on and on. And, like, you feel your phone going off in your pocket, and you sneak a peek when you can, or I had, like, a general idea because the intermission had happened and Will Levis was still available, and my phone had already informed me that the Vikings were coming up. So I get to the other side of the show, and my phone is just blown up. Now, I have no idea yet at this point. Open it up as I get, the show ends. I am celebrating as people are exiting Jagged Little Pill. I am celebrating because the Vikings have taken Jordan Addison and not Will Levis. It was maybe one of the better Vikings moments that I've had in the last probably 5 or 6 years.
Sadly. And you were vindicated on that, I think.
I think I was, and then I was vindicated when I said you didn't want JJ McCarthy.
You were,
here
unfortunately, in that. I see when I set, I had a Fitbit at that time, and I set it to give me all. Here's how I did it though. I turned off texts because I didn't want all the texts. All I did was I turned on Twitter updates that when the Nebraska basketball account tweeted.
Interesting. That's
which was an interesting way to do it because they kind of you don't know necessarily we're going to put, and then when they do it, sometimes it's just for the context of people watching it, and it's just like Keisei Tominaga, are you kidding me? And that's all. It's like what happened? What happened to I for the first time in my life wanted the traditional halftime score tweet. It's the only time I've ever needed it.
Yeah. No, I had that at number 1 on my list as well. I'll go through what I had, and you tell me if there's any games that you completely disagree with or that you would have included that I didn't have. So I had Purdue, the number 1. That game was terrific. It wasn't no sit Sunday, but the atmosphere in there was electric. Especially when you knew that Nebraska was going to get this done. And kind of just what it meant overall for where that season was going to go. Like that collective feeling was just incredible in that building that night. So that was 1. Number 2 for me, and this is a game that I think you would rank fairly highly.
I have one in mind for 2. I wonder if you're going to say the one I'm thinking of.
The Big Ten tournament game against Indiana.
Yep, that's my number 2.
You absolutely just stomped all over an
that was
opponent.
So fun.
And like the fact that it's Indiana, and it's this team that's known for basketball, and it's Mike Woodson, and it's, they've got draft picks on their team, and they needed this win to keep their faint hopes alive. And Keisei just brings out a flamethrower and torches the nets. And it's late at night, and the college basketball world is forced to reckon with this idea that Keisei Tominaga is this incredible shooter that could just get hot and might lead Nebraska to the dream of all dreams, which did not happen, unfortunately. But it felt like it could happen in that moment. That game is just one of the most thoroughly ass-kicked teams that you will ever see in Indiana. And there's nowhere for them to go. You have randoms on the floor, and we won't get into it because I know it makes you mad. But there's randoms on the floor that are just, becoming Nebraska basketball fans.
It was cool in that moment. It was cool in that moment. Yeah.
And then it carries on from it.
Then it went on.
That game, I just want to relive the moment and the feel of that.
Agreed.
Because, that's the thing. Like, you're going to rewatch it and you already know the result of it. But if you can bottle up the feel of the moment, like that one had as much as anything.
100%. We had just come back. We had gone on a spring break trip, and we got back that day. And so it's the end of a vacation, and it's always a little depressing to end a vacation, but I knew I had that game when we got back because I remember the night before watching Indiana and Penn State while we were coming back. We had stopped at
probably rooting for Penn State to win.
Rooting for Penn State, and Indiana won. Like they won a close game somehow. I can't remember how it ended exactly. And I was like, oh no, Indiana. Nebraska had already beaten them earlier that year. Kellel Ware had been shut down in that game, and so I was worried. I was like, they're going to figure it out this time. And then it was about 15 minutes into that. I mean, Nebraska was. I just pulled out the box score because I was curious. Nebraska was up 50-27 at half.
Yep.
God. Yep. That's it. That is definitely. I had that as number 2. Yep.
Wow. And that was the last high point of really the season. You could argue the first half against Illinois in the Big Ten tournament was.
Yeah, it looked like it just kept going. Yeah.
Right, and then that game went the way that it did, and I will always be angered by Coleman Hawkins and Terrence Shannon and Shannon just officiating ever since.
That was when I knew Rank Mast was
Yeah,
Mast and Alec couldn't protect the rim, and Rank was
was a harbinger of things to come, clearly. But we don't have to go down that route. Those aren't games I want to rewatch.
No.
Okay, third on this list, and it ranks up there for most surprised I've ever been in an arena with an outcome and just a way that Nebraska took care of this team. So my wife, its family has Creighton season tickets. They've had them since the building opened. They're Creighton fans. They're Nebraska fans too. So they're the ultimate of J-Skers. We get asked if we want tickets to go to this Friday night Nebraska Creighton game. And we're not living up here in Omaha at this point. And so it's a trip. And I am not enthusiastic about this at all. We've got a child, we're going to drop them off with grandma, and I'm going to go watch Nebraska Creighton, and they have outstanding tickets. Like, their tickets are phenomenal. And I'm going to have basically, it's not courtside, but court level view is how low you are to the action. And I'm going to watch Nebraska Creighton, and it's going to be this Ryan Kalkbrenner love fest. And I'm just going to hate every second of it. And instead, I am treated to just this unbelievable, surprising, amazing performance in which Braxton Mia and Berkay and these guys just take Ryan Kalkbrenner, who's, you might not know this, Jack. Turns out he's a pretty good NBA player on top of it, too. Takes him completely out of the game. I watched Stephen Ashworth get his leg amputated on the court. He's in tears. His career must be over. No, he comes back and plays 2 games later and finishes out the season.
Well, probably can't cast stones on that particular situation.
I'm casting him. I know what history shows. That win, and just doing it in that building, the quietness of all of it, knowing that my future radio partner Connor Happer is sadly having to try to hype people up while Creighton is losing this game to this team that they have no business losing to in their minds. And knowing that you just own that little piece of their soul, that Ryan Kalkbrenner finishes his career scoring 2 points with no field goals against Nebraska. And they'll tell you, oh, it doesn't matter. Oh, we don't care. That game's meaningless. We went to the Sweet 16. Your program could never, blah, blah, blah. That night was incredible. And I can't, it was really hard for me not to put that game higher, but the other two were just better.
Yeah, that's a great number 3. So far, I completely agree with your list. I would be the same thing. And the cool thing is, if you do want to rewatch that game, I would recommend the place you watch it is in the I-80 Club YouTube page, because we did a live watch party. And so my reaction to that entire game, while having some adult beverages and increasingly more than I planned throughout the night, is all documented there for you to rewatch that entire game with me. And I think it was Josh and Caleb, I think, did it with me. And so that whole game and the absolute chaotic post-game show.
Yeah.
That's great. I'm with you. Lock, stock, and barrel so far.
Okay. Number 4, I have the 2025 December win at Illinois this year. Just the Price Sanford game, the Jamarcus Lawrence shot, whatever you want to call it. They erased a 14-point lead. Nebraska had to overcome an 8-on-5 situation where Illinois lived at the free throw line, and they did it. They did it on the road. It's their best win this season. It was an outstanding performance, and it involved sort of, again, all of these different players have to have sort of their moment. Like Jared Garcia had to have his season best moment comes in that game. There's just things that happen in that game that kind of tell the tale of why this team is who they are and how they're capable of doing what they do, and why we have so much hope in what's to come in the month of March.
Yeah. I think I would have ended up with that one. I had 2 I've considered from this season. It's a little harder because this season it's still fresh, and so there's not as much of a desire to go back to it. And I doubt you have this as 5, so I'll say that the 2 I consider from this season were that one. A lot of the reasons that you said, plus there was just that Illinois kept looking like they were going to take over that game. And have it, you swore 8 different times in that game. Okay, here we go. And every freaking time Nebraska answered. Every time. I don't think Illinois got past tie. I think they might have tied it during that game, but I don't think they ever got the lead back in that game. And so it was great. Then you got the buzzer beating shot. You've got all of that. And Also, I just want to see it to remind me that Nebraska can beat Illinois. I think that would be good. The only other one I had from this year would be the Oklahoma game in Sioux Falls, and that's because I was there. Not necessarily a huge win in retrospect, but I've never been in a college basketball environment anything close to what that was during that game.
That building is so special.
The unadulterated, yes, the building that created it made it feel like a bitter high school rivalry game, but only one team's fans were there, and they had been tailgating all day, is what it felt like in there.
Yep.
And they were kind of bloodlusty.
No, I mean, it was, I wasn't at this year's, but previous years I've been up there to the Pentagon, and I tell people, like, if you get the chance, Nebraska's playing, it's just worth seeing. The acoustics in that building, the sound, the feel, like, it's just great. And every game I've watched has been, good up there for the most part. So it's it's definitely, I can see why that one would be on there. At number 5, this is like maybe the most personal choice here of all of them, but it comes with its own thing. I included because I remember just like, one, they did it. They finished off this run with this win. But 2, my son is just clapping along as Juwan Gary and Nebraska are celebrating their crown championship. I want to be able to rewatch that, but I want a camera on my son in the second half, as it's like sort of the first time that he's just watching basketball, and like he has his little hoop over here and he's now walking at this point, and he's attempting to shoot, but he doesn't really, he's not grasping the full concept. But I have this great video of him clapping as Juwan Gary celebrating with the crown championship. So the crown championship holds a little piece of my heart more than maybe other people would have it. I know the Wisconsin 2024 win, the comeback against Chucky and AJ Stores.
That was my next one.
A lot of people would have that in there, and I totally get it. But I gotta have the crown and the crown title in there for me.
That I considered both of those. I would have probably put that Wisconsin game next. And now I'm scrolling through to see if there are any that I forgot that should be in there. But that's probably the next one.
Those are there's probably some others in there that could have been included. They had the big win against Illinois last year.
Yeah,
they had a couple nice wins.
I was at that game. I don't know. It didn't feel that notable, even though
right. Well, that's kind of what Michigan State. Like, Michigan State is the first time that as a ranked top 10 team, you beat another ranked top 10 team, and it was a good game in that mass shot. Like, I'm certainly going to remember that, but it doesn't rise to the sort of emotional level that some of these other ones did. And so, I hope that there's a very different game that you and I are putting at the top of this list, or games that you and I are putting at the top of this list here in the future. But that is still very much to come. Real quickly, because there's a few things I want to get in here, and I know we're trying to get out on a condensed schedule. Just your immediate thoughts, Nebraska USC on Saturday, a team in USC that's lost 4 some straight. They've got some real Nebraska 2024-25 stink to them right now. There's a part of me that thinks this is the more dangerous of the 2 games, and I know that's not conventional wisdom.
Yeah, I mean, just based on resume, I guess the argument that you could make is that because UCLA just hammered USC, and so they were better head to head. UCLA's got, that's been a hard place to win still, despite all the sort of the weird stuff that's happening with UCLA and players getting kicked off their own bench and that kind of stuff. I think it's, first of all, I know it's a completely different team, but man, that game against USC last year that Nebraska had was the worst possible matchup, it felt like, for them in that game. And I know it's not the same team.
No,
not much of the same team, to be honest, but like that was. Don't they have Master P's kid on the team now? I believe.
So
why do they always?
They have Gilbert Arenas' kid. He's their best player,
and
he only weirdly has played half the season. They're sort of
they got him
team,
in.
But they're like a better version of Maryland, where they're hyper athletic. I don't look for them to shoot particularly well, but maybe on the odd night they hit some things. I just think the sort of teams that always worry me with Nebraska are the ones that are just really long and athletic and Nebraska goes in these sort of funks. And I wonder if that's what USC could potentially do to them. Now, their defense isn't that good, but again, they're long, they're athletic, they can clean the glass, they can slash and score in different ways. Like I don't know. There's just some concern there that I'll feel a lot better when Nebraska's on the other side of this if they have to win.
Here's the other thing is they can get themselves back in the – this is kind of a do or die game for them in terms of the NCAA
Nebraska's a big
tournament.
pelt for them to hang on the wall.
They could go from, because I just pulled up Bracket Matrix, and they're still, I didn't surprise they're still in 9. They're still in 9 of the, what is it? Like,
yeah, they have, like I said, real Nebraska stink to them.
Yeah, so they're in a spot Nebraska has been in where you're like trying to find a bracket where they're still in. This looks like the exact spot Nebraska has been in, including last year. And you're like, okay, you get this win, and you got a chance of it doing. They finish off at Washington and they have UCLA at home. So like I've been this fan before, you're looking at like, hey, if you go 3-0 in there and then win a game in a tournament, Big Ten tournament, you're probably on the right side of the bubble. I don't know if that's true or not, but you lose this one and that might be it outside of a massive run in the Big Ten tournament. And so I think that's the other thing about it. I think those things combined, and then you just, Nebraska's just playing. I don't know, the last matchup with a quote unquote good team. It's still hard to get that Iowa game out of my head.
Yep, no doubt about it. They haven't beaten anybody that currently has a winning record since the Indiana game. So you're still going all the way back, over a month.
They did win at Wisconsin randomly prior to that.
Yeah.
So that's their – man, I'm looking – that is their good win this year. Holy cow.
For USC?
Yeah.
Yeah.
They beat Seton Hall.
That's a very similar – like Iowa, Nebraska was the pelt for Iowa, and I don't want them to be the pelt for USC. So hopefully Nebraska goes out and takes care of business to that. I don't have a great, breakdown, watch this, watch that. But it is it's a big, big game at 3 o'clock on Saturday afternoon. All right, let's dive into the blind rankings to leave you a little bit of time so you can tell us what is annoying you this week. As always, I've sent the list to Josh, so if you have any contention with the order and you think I'm playing games with you, let me know. Today's topic, potential Sweet 16 matchups for Nebraska.
Ooh.
You are going to rank these in terms of team that you would most want to play to the team that you would least want to play. And I'm going to be honest, there's no dogs here. There's no double-digit upsets I'm projecting. These are teams that are right around Nebraska in that 2, 3, 4 line. So
Sweet 16.
You are going to know all of these teams, and you're going to have to talk yourself into playing one of them and being scared of another. So let's go.
All right.
Right off the bat, last year's defending national champions, the darlings of kind of the college basketball world right now because they don't have to play anybody good because they're in the SEC, Florida.
Man, what a one to start with. This is going to lead into the things I'm annoyed with this week too.
Yeah, all right.
Probably put 2 and 2. You can probably put 2 and 2 together on this one. Everyone, Mike, do you know that Florida? Don't be surprised if Florida goes on a run in this tournament. This could be a team that could win. Has anyone told you?
I've heard this.
This team could be the best team in college basketball. Have you been told this? If you can put up some money on a team for the NCAA tournament, but you get it on Florida. With good odds, because those odds aren't right for how good they are.
Do you know they still haven't beaten anybody better than 18th in the country?
Man, I mean, listen, I hope the only way this can backfire on me is if they actually play Florida and get blown out. And so I'm not worried about the chances of that are remote, that they'll even match up. So I'm tempted to put that at 1 right at the front. I can't imagine. I'll put that at 1. I don't think I want, in terms of my own excitement, like the win, in terms of the possible sweetness of the win, in terms of like, I know whatever it is, the analytics obviously love them. And maybe I'm just being old school guy and I don't know squat. And so when I look at their resume, and I obviously haven't watched them enough to have a good handle on why they're so awesome, I just kind of want that. And I know the other matchups are going to be just as intimidating, if not more, in a lot of cases. So I'm going to start. I'm going to put that at 1 to start. I think that's I think that's. We'll see if I regret that, but I'm going to put that at 1.
All right. UConn.
Man.
We did number 1 again. Number 1, most you want to play. Number 5, least you want to play.
Yeah, I'm glad. I would want them less than I would. I definitely want them less than I would want.
Yeah, I'm probably reverse there. I think UConn, if Nebraska ends up as a 3 seed and UConn the 2 in the same draw, I'm good with that. I'm not.
I mean, we'll see how it compares to the rest of them. I don't think they're super low. I think I'll put them 3.
Okay. They're at 3.
We're going to go out. Did you hear this?
We're going to go out west.
Beat them. Yeah.
How would you feel if Nebraska had to take on a team that lost to Portland this year? Gonzaga.
Ooh, okay. Yeah, I'll put them. Man, I'd probably put them 1. I would love to play Gonzaga. I'll put them 2.
Okay, so you have your 1, 2, and 3.
Yeah, I can't the field just keeps seeming easier and easier every team that you mention.
Okay, how easy does Houston sound?
Yeah,
they've lost 3 straight games.
I know, but I would have them definitely in the bottom 2. I'll put them 4. I think I would.
Okay, yeah. Well, I think you're going to be happy with this. The last team on here, though, I could see where you would maybe want Nebraska to play them because it brings up the old Big 8 vibes, and they used to play each other. And I don't remember what the name of their stupid arena is. Hilton Magic, or whatever. Iowa State at 5. How do you feel about this list?
Man, that would be a lot. And I would hate to lose to them so much, but it would be fun. It would be.
All the Fred Hoiberg,
all the Fred angles, the Fred angles on it as well. All the personal,
your family.
I would hate to lose to them so much. Man, I would hate to lose to them. So I think I would rather avoid that.
That's 5. Well, you don't get to do anything else.
5. Yeah, I think I would avoid that. Although that's 5. For some reason, I don't know that this is justified because I just watched them beat Houston, but for some reason, Houston still scares me more.
Of this list, Houston would be my 5.
Just because of the way that they play defense.
Yeah. I just think Houston's the worst matchup of this for these teams. I would have UConn at 1, Gonzaga 2, Florida 3, Iowa State 4, I think.
I think I would have done Gonzaga 1, Florida 2, UConn 3, Iowa State 4, Houston 5. Yeah. Man, I hadn't really thought of those potential matchups.
Well, and here's, one.
That's because my mind won't let me go that far. Right, I know. But just like if they get to the Sweet 16 and they are likely a 3 seed, what are we looking at? It's the 2 seeds, right?
Yeah. No, that's you're looking at that, or if the off chance somehow Nebraska slipped in being the last 2 seed, like enough things go their way, enough results go their way, they're getting one of these teams as a 3. So it's
and then I don't know. They could match them if you're talking about that same group. You could also be talking about Purdue, Illinois, Kansas, Michigan State. Now, that's about it.
I left all of those out. There's a part of me, rather than Iowa State, I would love, just for the idea of Nebraska, Kansas in the NCAA tournament, to go to the Elite 8. Like, that appeals to me on so many levels, because if Nebraska were to win that game, I would feel like decades of demons would just be released.
My gosh.
And I don't even think I could put together coherent sentences describing what that would mean to me. Getting to be a team that eliminates Kansas from the NCAA tournament, Kansas being this sort of elevator team that can play with anybody in the country and also lose to anybody. Kansas finishing another year unfulfilled because they didn't go far enough in their tournament. Bill Self potentially having the last game of his career being a loss to Nebraska. All of this intrigues me. And then there's the other side of it. If Kansas ends Nebraska's best season of my lifetime, the devastation would be immense.
Yeah. Yeah, that's like what I was thinking about Iowa State, but you're right. Kansas would be almost as bad, if not more bad, because you've got all these Kansas fans that like to roam around the Jayhawk skurs. And so I agree. There would be the one thing about it though is that like it would be less intimidating than playing. Obviously, they're not as good a team as like in Arizona, but it's less intimidating because I've had the experience multiple times in my life of going into a Kansas game where I'm like, oh no, it's Kansas. And then Nebraska wins it. Right. Like, now they're almost always at home, but it's happened a lot over the years in key situations, mostly in the 80s and 90s, but
no doubt about it.
Yeah.
All right, let's finish up with what is annoying Jack Mitchell this week.
Yay. All right. I got to be kind of quick here, but we alluded to it earlier. And like Mike, I can't take the Florida stuff anymore. I can't first of all, at very bare minimum, if you're going to talk about Florida and you are a college basketball analyst or a talking head or anything, don't act like you've just discovered some kind of sunken treasure and you're the first person who's done this, because guess what? Freaking everyone is saying it. Everyone is saying, don't sleep on these guys. I know the record might not indicate it. You have the same take. Literally, I want someone to come out and be like, no, they have 6 losses. They're probably not a Sweet 16 team. The SEC, don't have any impressive. Like, that's the alternative take now. The majority take is, they're probably going to be in the Final Four. Like, and again, I don't know jack squat. I can't name you a player on their team, so I am going to admit that straight up, but I can't look at the resume. And they have some. What they've got is at the beginning of the year, they lost to every good team above that.
Yep.
Basically. But it's just, and that gets me to my bigger point about this, right? Like Purdue loses last night to Michigan State and at home. But like, in your heart, Mike, that loss for them, that home loss for them, is going to be less damaging to them than Nebraska losing at UCLA. And maybe it should be, but it just feels like when you're thinking about Nebraska and what the reaction in the brackets is, and in the, I know they're computer metrics and you just plug the numbers in and those sorts of things. But gosh, it feels like for Nebraska to have a loss affect them, it doesn't anything, right? Any loss is going to open the floor up wide for them and they're going to start dropping. And it feels like everyone else has to get punched like 8 times. It's like in Mike Tyson's Punch Out when the punch doesn't take any energy off of Mike Tyson in the final one. This is just, and part of this is certainly in my head, and part of it is me being a homer. There's no doubt about any of that. But it does seem like, right? Like tonight, Illinois will, and it's against Michigan. It's against the number 1 team. But that was a loss that hurt Nebraska, right?
Yeah. But they, it's like this. Illinois lost to UCLA, and it'll be like, it's tough to go.
That's a better example. That's
Nebraska
a better example.
Loses to UCLA, and it's like, are we sure this is even one of the top 15 teams?
That is the best example. No one's saying that about Illinois.
Right.
Like,
and they've already lost to Wisconsin.
Illinois, and if Nebraska
lost to Michigan State.
Or after they lost to Wisconsin. Right. Yes. Like, but still. And now you're at a point where they've got more total losses than Nebraska. And now Purdue is behind Nebraska in the Big Ten standings. And I understand that's not the entire analysis, but doesn't it just feel that way? Like it takes a feather to knock Nebraska over, and it takes a bazooka to knock everyone else over.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's true, but it definitely.
I know it's irrational, and I know it's the ultimate of homerism.
Yeah, for sure.
I feel it.
For sure.
I feel it.
Yeah. Sure. So, I mean, Illinois has lost 3 of 5, and they lost to Nebraska. I mean, Come on. And what do they have in the non-con? What's Illinois' best? Okay, they beat Texas Tech. There you go.
Yeah.
They beat Texas Tech and they beat Tennessee. That's it.
Their best wins are Texas Tech, Nebraska, and Purdue.
Yep. So
if they don't win against Michigan tonight, but the problem that Nebraska faces is that all of those non-conference wins are just getting worse and worse. You needed one of those teams to play well.
And you didn't think it would be like that. You didn't either.
You really didn't.
Purdue, I'm just curious now. Purdue has wins over Texas Tech, Alabama, lost to Iowa State,
and Nebraska,
and they beat Auburn too.
It's funny because
Purdue's
Nebraska
got a better
non-conference.
I would
Nebraska works more as a quality win for someone than Nebraska works as a quality team for the same people.
I swear.
So
okay, so I got that one out of the way.
Yep.
I'll make the last ones quick because they're fairly simple, and hopefully they may not. Hopefully they still deliver the punch my previous ones have. This one's kind of dumb, but Mike, I have been enveloped by the world of technology. I have been spoiled by the world of technological advances, certain ones in specific, and probably not going to go where people think I'm going with this one. But I am so annoyed, and I now have the inability to use a computer with one single monitor. If the computer setup that I am using does not have two monitors, I feel like I'm claustrophobic. And I'm dragging stuff to the side of the screen, and it's banging up against the side of the screen. I can't do it. This is the biggest first world lifestyle. This is the biggest first world problem possible. But
can I go bigger? Can I go a bigger, similar idea to you? Every time I'm asked to use a keyboard or someone else's computer that's not mine, it's not a Mac, it doesn't have the same feel, I have to hunt and peck like I've never typed before. I for work the other day, I'm using someone's keyboard because I'm typing something in on their multi-monitor computer, and they have like a keyboard that's as big as my phone. And I'm sitting there having to type, like a moron, and she's just making jokes at me, and there's nothing I can do. It doesn't feel right.
I've got another one based similar on that. Why couldn't Windows and Apple get together and just say, okay, let's either both use the control button or let's both use the Windows Apple button? Because there are people like Jack out there, and I'm sure some of the other ones, that swing both ways, and you're switching all day between the two types of computer. And
I used to, and now it's almost exclusively Apple. And then it's just I feel like it's a foreign concept for me to use a different computer.
I'm control-C-ing, control-V-ing, with Apple button C-ing, Apple button V-ing all over everything. And my muscle memory is with the pinky or the ring finger and having to go back and forth. It's so first world problems there. My final one today. I don't know what kind of glassware you have in your house, Mike, in terms of, just regular drinking glasses, but
you get a lot of beer glasses like this.
I like that. We don't have I wish we had more of those. So we have my first choice, which is always, do I have one down here? I usually do. No, like a stadium cup. Okay. I don't know why we create glassware that is any less than 16 ounces. I have no use in, and look, if you're going to give me 12, fine. I will take 12 in a pinch. Why do we have 28 ounce or whatever they are, 6 ounce, like juice glasses? I can't think of any scenario in my life where I need that volume of liquid.
I get it if it's, you have like a special or set of glasses for like scotch or for whiskey or whatever.
Fair enough. But these are
makes sense.
Let's put
bourbon,
that on the like you have one nice, one or two nice,
you don't need
set
more
of bourbon
than
cups. We have it's literally half of our glassware.
Yeah.
It's
not like you have small children either.
Tell me a just a non-alcoholic beverage where that amount of drink is, where would you ever use it?
The only time, so we have a set of like smaller glass, like kind of what I showed you, but it's more of just a Target set or whatever. If I don't want like a full glass of milk and I'm eating Oreos or something and I'm dunking them in, that's the only time that I would utilize that. That is it. And I fully acknowledge it's unnecessary.
I'll accept that. But I'd still, I mean, listen, once I start guzzling milk after Oreos or a donut or something,
You want the full.
there's not a small enough quantity that exists for me. So I guess other than like for health reasons, I mean, throw that out the window. If it's not just to self-limit how much of a beverage I'm drinking, there's no need ever in my life for 6 to 8 ounces of a beverage.
Okay.
Because in bourbon, you get 1 or 2 ounces, right? But the amount that I can't think, like those, you ever see those mini pop cans that they have? The little tiny baby ones? My wife likes me to get those. I was like, I would never want that amount of beverage. I'd rather have 0 or 12 or greater. And just keep it from me if you're going to give me that amount of beverage.
Yeah, it's like, do you want a sample cup? Is that basically what it is? It's like a sample cup of beverage.
Yes. So again, I will make the exception for bourbon, or I guess if you use a shot glass, 0 to 2 is fine, and 12 and above is fine. It's that middle range where we are oversupplied in the world of glassware.
The 8 ounce range.
It makes me wonder about the 8 ounce lobby. Big 8 ounce glassware is controlling our kitchens. I think it's time we fight back. Take an 8 ounce glass tonight and accidentally knock it out of your cupboard. Let it shatter on the floor.
We don't have many of them. Like part of moving is we pared down a lot of this stuff.
Making them, I don't know why we need that size. They can all be the 12 ounce or larger. That's all I'm saying. I don't know why we do it. They're never used.
All right. Those are the things annoying Jack Mitchell this week. I know he's got to get going. I will bid adieu as well. Nebraska, USC on Saturday. There'll be a Saturday morning coffee show, I'm sure.
Yes,
there will be a Nebraska reaction show.
There'll be a coffee show. We'll have a subscriber only show after the coffee show, which we're doing, where we take your questions, and then there will be a Nebraska ball hour. And thank you to all of our community partners. Yes. We keep getting new ones. Visit Lincoln is joining the bus.
Hey,
to Jeff and Visit Lincoln. We got 5-star bath. We got the Still. We got Sutton Linder and Sutton. We got Eye Surgical Associates. We got Sandstone Wealth Management. And our big sponsor, Husker Power Products, our title sponsor for the trip. We got 2 new community partners we're probably going to be adding in the next 24 hours, and we'll tell you about them tomorrow.
Fantastic.
All of the people getting on the bus. People want to be a part of it, Mike. People, the business community is buzzing. Hey, if you want to be a part of it, hit me up, Jack M at i80club.com.
Let's do it. All right. We'll catch everybody next week. Have a great week.
Bye.